Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Today's talk is not heavy, but just a pretty lightweight reflection of a subject we don't often think about, dance, and how a person could go through life. The image of Snoopy, the dog in the comic strip Peanuts, is first and foremost in my mind. If we all had moments of unbridled joy, even for a few minutes a day, what a difference there would be in relationships around the world. But to begin at the start, what is dance? Dance has been defined as the movement of the body in a rhythmic way, usually to music and within a space, for the purpose of expressing an idea, an emotion, releasing energy, or simply taking delight in movement itself. But why dance? For enjoyment. It's satisfying. It's fun to do. For expression. Sometimes when words fail, body language is universally understood. Exercise. It helps keep the body in shape, moving, and it helps develop poise. Social interactions. Group dances. Think line dancing, square dancing, folk dancing, all are a good way to interact with other people. Group cohesion is reinforced by dance, as shown in celebratory dancing festivals, war party dances, festival or holiday dancing. Seduction. Survival of the species is paramount. Be it for a courtship dance between birds, or the posturing of young folk at a sock hop, disco, or mosh pit, a group dance is a place to intersect with future partners. Think coming out balls, debutantes, or high school sock hops, or dancing around the maypole. In my mind, the image of fishing, catch and release, comes to mind. When you're dancing with a lot of people, many partners may pass through your arms, but you may decide this is the one to keep. Catharsis, the purging of emotions or the relieving of tensions, especially through certain kinds of art, as tragedy or music. It is possible to leave the world behind on the dance floor. You are in the moment, focused on the movement, focused on the music. Worship, or acknowledgement of the greater. Dance is used as a way to empty the mind and come to a meditative state, either receiving from or offering to the greater powers that be. But dancing, is it natural? Well, Henry's been dancing since the age of 3, so it must be natural. Dancing is innate. It's part of our natural makeup. Dance has been observed in birds, primates, sea mammals, and others. YouTube is full of videos of animals dancing, porpoises cavorting, and the like. Young children dance. I think it's a natural learning process of how to move and strengthen the body, increase coordination, and your survival skills. What are some of the characteristics of dance? The body. The body is the primary instrument. You may use your entire body or just a portion. Space. Dancers move through space in every possible way, varying their level, direction, and path as they move. They may also move very often in coordinated and syncopated and specific ways in relationship to other people taking part in a given dance. Think square dancing, ballet. Time. The movement should relate to a given rhythm, most commonly set by music or natural sounds, or even your heartbeat or your breathing. Energy speaks to how the dancers move through space and time. Dancers can use their bodies to make movements that are smooth or sudden, tight and restricted, or light and relax. A little bit of history. Dance has been part of recorded history since early times, bringing transcendence to spiritual rituals and creating bonds within communities. Styles have changed, but dance itself remains one of the most expressive physical art forms. The earliest records show formalized dance in cave paintings in India, dating back around 8000 BC, before Common Era. Egyptian tomb paintings depict dance around 3300 BC, and these were likely religious in nature. In ancient Greece, dance was part of the celebrations of the wine god Dionysus, and later the Roman god Bacchus, and at ritual dances at the Olympic Games. And in Asia, dance dates back at least 3,000 years, with records of performances in the Chinese court. But is it right? Religion treats dancing as a mixed bag. In the old Judeo heritage, men could dance with men, women could dance with women, women could dance for men, but men and women could not dance together. For the Jews, liturgical dance was first recorded in Exodus, after the Israelites crossed the Red Sea. Miriam, who was a prophetess and sister to Moses, gathered the women to sing praises and dance in worship in thanks for their escape. Additional Old Testament evidence for sacred dance comes from King David. The Bible describes a scene in which David humbles himself before his subjects by nakedly dancing for the Lord. Medieval commentators interpreted this dance as a Christian expression of humility. In early Christianity, according to church leaders and theologians such as St. Augustine, dance incited idolatry, lust, and damnation. Moreover, early Christians were hostile to dance because it reminded them of their pagan counterparts in the Roman Empire. As Augustine's book, The City of God, makes clear, quote, "The worshippers and admirers of these pagan gods delight in imitating their scandalous iniquities. There be heard everywhere the rustling of dancers, the loud immodest laughters of the theater, a succession of the most cruel and the most voluptuous pleasures, maintaining a perpetual excitement." Dance was an important part of cultural and civic life in the Greco-Roman antiquity. Christians, however, needed to distinguish themselves from pagans and set an example of pious behavior. But over time, the early Christian church started to allow sacred dancing once more, to co-opt the pagan art forms and festivals and become more attractive to the masses. The Protestant Reformation and the Catholic Counter-Reformation began to critique dance and declare it idolatrous again. Starting in the 14th century, women found dancing were suspected of and persecuted for practicing witchcraft and accused of dancing with the devil during the pagan ritual known as the Witches' Sabbath. This Christian influence was global. In India, Hindu dancing has a rich performance history going back millennia, but by the late 1700s, dance was restricted by the British colonists who considered the dances immoral. Well, once India gained freedom from Great Britain, the country revived its classical dance tradition. By the time the first slave ships sailed to Virginia in 1619, Christian dance was largely lost to history. But over time, enslaved Africans, with their traditions of sacred song and movement, would put the dance back into some branches of American Christianity. Quote, "Dance with the right heart can be used by the Holy Spirit in the church because its involvement requires participants to let go of their pride and allow God's opinion to become the only opinion that matters." In Islam, They have strictures on dancing, very similar to the pre-Christian Jewish faith. As one of their teachers stated, "It is indeed hard to find examples of a society where dancing, alcohol, drugs, and other vain pursuits are given a free hand, and that same society is advancing spiritually and in devotion to God. In fact, at the individual level, the opposite is true. As these pursuits become more and more prevalent in some societies, the farther away they are turning from God." In the Baha'is, in the teachings of Baha'is, Shogo Effendi says, "There is nothing against dancing, but friends should remember the standards of Baha'u'llah is modesty and chastity. The atmosphere of modern dance halls, where so much smoking and drinking and promiscuity go on, is very bad. But decent dances are not harmful in themselves. There is certainly no harm in classical dancing or learning dance in school. There is the art itself. But the unfortunate corruption which often surrounds these arts, as Baha'is we need to avoid none of the arts, but the acts and the atmosphere that sometimes go with these professions we should avoid." You may ask, "Eric, what are your ideas and thoughts about dance?" Well, I remember my first dance at 7 or 8 years old. It was a stereotypical barn dance in a barn with a polka band, straw bales, and a lot of beer. A friendly girl my age to dance with. It was wonderful. I remember that evening clearly. My public grade school in southeastern Minnesota taught square dancing in the music classes in the 3rd and 4th grade. And I had social dancing in my junior high school in the 7th and 8th grade. After moving to Cedar Falls, Iowa, I wanted a community outside of work and outside of church. So I joined a folk dancing club at the University of Northern Iowa, and we toured and we partied. Later on, my partner, Pat, joined, and the club danced following our wedding at the local UU church. Pat and I showed up occasionally at the Kaylee dances here in Sioux Falls, led by the church's own Joan Reddy and Greg Horst. But since I have 2 left feet right now, we've been pretty quiet in that regard. As a metaphor, I believe that in a partnership, as well as a dance, you should agree in the direction you're going in. Only one person can lead at a time, but the lead can change from person to person. And keep off of your partner's toes. In life, you can trudge, you can figuratively dance, skip, and enjoy the passage. I'll close now, but I leave you again with the question: does dancing and the movement of the body affect your mind, or does the state of your mind affect your body? Does dancing make you happy, or are you happy because you dance? Thank you.